Disney Plus is doomed, Paul Thurrott. It's over. Stream wars are dead. Get out your rabbit ears.
uh, I mean, Disney still has more streaming subscribers than Netflix. I mean, also, if you look at the little asterisks, the subscriber fall was due to something that happened in India and is related to cricket. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
So Disney has more subscribers in the U.S. and probably in Western Europe than it ever did before. Its little subscriber loss, it was like a 1% loss, was due to the fact that a rival network in India picked up some cricket championship league thing that used to be on Disney Plus or whatever. There's a service there, I think it's called Disney Plus EchoStar or something or whatever. And that's why, because, a million people in India were like, we got to watch this thing that no one else in the world cares about.
Well, it worked, apparently, at least.
Disney itself is doing whatever it's doing. Although, I don't care too much about like its theme park business, its general entertainment options or whatever. But all that stuff is going great. Disney theme parks are like I don't remember the exact number. It was something like $9 billion in revenues and 3 point something in net income. I mean, I think it's like a cash
Windows
register.
No one will ever know this edit, Paul Thurrott. We just had a little audio issue. And Paul's like, if you just say like Windows again, we can probably splice it in so no one will know. But I'm going to be brutal, and I'm going to make sure this is deliberately in there. So, yes, Disney theme parks are like Windows. $9 billion a quarter.
$9 billion in revenues a quarter, yeah. Yeah, if anything, I mean, Windows probably even has a higher margin. I don't know.
Although I think you could argue Disney has a better app store.
I don't even have to look at Disney's app store to know that that's true, but sure.
Yep.
Nintendo and Disney should get together. They're basically the same company.
They have the right overlap. That would be a merger that...
Yeah, Disney could have like Mickey Mouse games on Nintendo Switch and stuff. They probably already have that. I don't know. Seems like a good mix,
Yeah. I mean, it kind of does, but you know what? They're... whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, you just started to mention this before we talked, but the Bing Edge chatbot AI thing video, you can now watch. I still don't understand why they didn't live stream this.
Nope.
They were clearly recording the whole thing.
You're not going to understand it either. Yeah. Listen, people flew from around the world to attend what was essentially a 30-minute demo, and then spend an hour or two. And they some of them got to speak to Microsoft executives. That's valuable, I suppose. But yeah, there wasn't too much to it. I mean, I don't know. It's been very interesting. It's interesting watching the event. All of the demos were canned. He didn't type in a single live query. That should be alarming to people because my contention here is going to be that even the slightest typing mistake will probably send this thing off into a different direction. And also that I'm not 100% sure you get the same results every single time that you type something into this thing. It's, you know what I mean? It's just making up nonsense on the fly. They sort of position that as, well, you don't want to sit here while I type. I will just trigger videos, and it's like, I'm sorry, I just flew here from England so I could watch you trigger a video? Like, what? Like, to me, that would have been outrageous if I had attended this. But I think it should be alarming on a different level. And then just the reactions to it are kind of all over the map. I mentioned yesterday the guy from the Washington Post, Jeffrey Fowler, talked about a Tom Hanks Watergate conspiracy, which I thought was beautiful. I don't know. I'm still, I keep coming back to the same thing. I don't understand why they did this now. I don't know. It might, Richard made the case that 100 million people were using ChatGPT, and that's probably bigger than the numbers that Bing ever had. And they were like, could we
maybe
do something about this? I think the real impact of this will be felt when we see this become available more broadly, and then we see what kind of a bump Bing gets. There's no doubt it's going to get a bump, But the case that I made with you, I think, was that this thing has to be. This has to make Google search to look like a Commodore 64 for this to translate into anything dramatic.
Right.
Google is so entrenched in our lives that inertia is going to be a very powerful force. So we'll see. We'll see.
I think that phrase is the only reason Microsoft rammed this into market.
Yeah.
Is they said, look, Google is the household name. They're the Kleenex of the industry. We can shove this in there as fast as humanly possible. We can do it and just get to market faster than they can, and that's our best shot.
Yeah, I mean, Kleenex is an interesting example because terms like that and like Xerox, right? I don't know anything about these markets. Is Kleenex the number one, tissue in the world right now? I have no idea, but we still have that name in our brain. I I don't know. This is definitely going to be a growth engine for Microsoft. And one of the things that becomes clear when you watch the video, when you do, is that they figured out a way to make sure advertising is a big part of it. But there's all this stuff that goes through my brain. I'm writing something right now. It's sort of about institutional memory and this notion that Microsoft as a company remembers this because there are humans at the company who have memories of it. Remembers that kind of dark decade when Google was allowed to dominate search, Apple was allowed to dominate devices, Amazon was allowed to dominate the cloud. And I say allowed because I think in Microsoft's point of view, if they hadn't been hobbled by antitrust, they would have prevented that. And they would have, those markets were it by divine right or whatever. And they've been quietly waiting for some point of revenge. By the way, Satya Nadella, let's not forget, because everyone forgets, where did he come up on it, Brad?
Yeah.
What was his part of the business?
What did they call it before Bing? Live search? No.
Yeah, well, but Bing, right? We'll just call it Bing. It would be, George W. Bush became president and went to Iraq to finish the job his father didn't, finish, right? I mean, this is a thing. Like, this is a human condition, applied at the corporate level in this case. So we'll see. I mean, I don't doubt that Microsoft would love to exact revenge on Apple for the devices thing, and don't doubt that Microsoft would love to surpass Amazon, a freaking retailer, like a Walmart, somehow dominating its core market. That's got to be galling to it. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So there it is. I mean, it's just an interesting. Look, they've made something that was inherently goofy and stupid very interesting all of a sudden. I got to give them credit for that. I mean, Bing is the butt of jokes. The brand is so tainted and so bad, I can't believe it's still around.
Well, so here's another interesting thing worth pointing out. For a while, Microsoft has actually removed the Bing logo from Bing.com. It was Microsoft Bing, had the Microsoft logo, and they completely got rid of that B. And now all of a sudden it's back.
There's a new one. They've updated it with this new, if you look at like the new Microsoft 365 logo, it's kind of in that style. Yeah. Yeah.
Bing's back, baby.
Well, look, Bing, it's a short word. It's early in the alphabet. I don't know.
I mean, that domain alone is worth tens
just because
of millions
it's 4
of dollars.
letters. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's worth watching. And I would recommend that anyone watching this horrible video that we're making should better spend their time and watch this Microsoft thing. There's a horrible, Satya Nadella continues to be a really robotic speaker. He opens it and talks for a long time. And the second time I went through it, I skipped right to the the demo. I'm like, I just need to see this thing. There's a lot of interesting little bits, like Yusuf Mehdi, who I can't believe is still at Microsoft. I mean, I met this guy in 1999. I mean, he's probably been there for 30 years now. And he's bopped all over the place too, by the way. He was in Windows back then. He moved into what the world it is, like MSN and Live, whatever. He was there for a really long time. I believe he's done Xbox stuff. He's been like all over the place.
Yeah, he was on. I'm pretty sure he was on Xbox.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. He's made the rounds. And they carted this guy out. I mean, as if from a cryogenic freezer or something. I don't know where he came from.
Jeez.
But no, he's great. I mean, he's been around for a long time. He's good. But he described this what's it called? Prometheus something, the group of capabilities that they derive from OpenAI as proprietary. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, wait, what's going on here? I thought you guys were embracing open source. Proprietary might have been the wrong word, or at least a bad word choice. And I don't think it really means proprietary versus open source, although it literally won't be open sourced. I mean, but rather, I think what they were trying to explain was this is something like proprietary, the word, like literally what the meaning is. only available to us. Like this is a unique Microsoft capability. We're not providing this capability that we're using to other people, other companies, right? This is a Microsoft advantage. I think that's what they meant. I wish there was a different word they could have used. But there were like ears went up when that little thing happened. They're like, oh, we're walking away from open source now. What's going to happen to GitHub? Because those people are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole canned demo thing where I was like, ugh, like that's too bad. But it's it's interesting for all the
It's
reasons.
the most attention Bing has gotten since Bing was announced.
Yeah. The Bing rebranding or branding, whatever you want to call it, was absolutely like a one-day news cycle. It's like, oh, Microsoft renamed their thing. All right, let's move on to the rest of life. Who cares? Mm-hmm. This will cause people to try it. There's a lot of language that's very similar to previous Bing marketing campaigns. There was a point, and this is a million years ago now, where Bing was not going to be just a blue list of links. It was going to be the answer engine. Like you would go to it, ask it a question, it would give you the answer, and you were done. Like that was the point of it, and that did nothing to move the needle. But the way that we're talking, the other day, very similar to that, right? It is. In fact, I think it was one of the three items. I don't remember. It was like search. I think it was search, answers, and content creation or something like that. Regardless of whether it was one of the three big points, there was language. I was like, I've heard this before. Like this sounds very familiar. We're trying this again, but now they have this AI super brain on the back end. That's interesting.
So did you also catch that Apple is copying Microsoft once again?
I guess not. What are they doing?
So they hired a new chief people officer, and her name is, I'm not making this up, Carol Surface.
Oh boy, I did see the announcement. I guess I didn't catch the name. Joke. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I guess there are people at Apple, huh? I guess HR was previously run by someone in some other part of the company.
Yeah, and now they're actually having a person run that position. So there you go.
I'm sure her job is not to figure out who they're going to lay off. So that's good.
That isn't it.
Interesting timing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was about.
How do we best handle this? It's like we don't like to reveal what happens inside of Apple, but we've run afoul of the law many times. What we would like to do is quietly lay off people and have it not be a news item. How do we do that?
Well, here's how you do it. You do what every other company's doing. You say, okay, work from home's no longer allowed. You got to be in the office, and everybody who moved is now screwed.
Wow. Yeah. And that would actually cause enough people to leave. Mm-hmm. That could also cause a class action lawsuit. At what point does a corporate policy become a binding agreement? Where you, like you said, moved to some cheaper place than the most expensive place in the country, by the way, right around Silicon Valley and San Francisco, probably, or one of the most, to, wherever, some cheaper place. Class action lawsuit, I hope. That'd be great.